Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a video on my thoughts on the film Kingsman Secret Service, which I think is kind of funny that I haven't really mentioned about reviewing this or doing a video about this either on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook page, so I think that's kind of funny, really, myself. And that, seeing as, you know, it's like I secretly did this, not quite, it was just a last minute sort of thing that I thought of doing at the end of June, the end of June. I thought of maybe doing this video and or reviewing this film, because this is my second viewing of this film now. I think it has definitely gone down quite a bit, but then I'm thinking of how like the second film was, and then in contrast to that, it is still a lot stronger film. I'm gonna try and not, keyword try and not, spoil too much going over this film, but there might potentially be spoilers in this video of sorts, so it's got Samuel Jackson in it, and it's also got Mark Hamill as well, so you've got two sort of big name Star Wars people from the original trilogy as well as the prequels, so you know, either way, if you're a fan of either one more than the other, then you know that this film kind of covers you, I guess, or either fan really, as I say. The fight scenes and the how they're choreographed is really well done and well handled, and that it's just, yeah, sometimes in some sort of fight scenes I always get kind of very much muddled up as to what's happening and that, but they use slow-mo to a well effect, or effective times and that, and they always sort of pan the camera or do different shots and edits when necessary and that, I guess, as well. The main character, this character called Eggsy, is kind of really, he's just a really sort of down-to-earth sort of character, I guess, is the best way of describing him. And that, I think it's funny, it's like his name's really bizarre to me, but also I can't imagine him being called anything else, as weird as that sounds. And the weirdest thing is, I think the actor who plays him or does really well in this film and that, and the weird thing is, I don't feel like I've ever seen this actor in anything else. Now there's another guy, person called Merlin, who is, if I'm not mistaken, the bad guy in the first Kick-Ass film. In terms of the violence and the sort of, yeah, like the way it's done, it kind of reminds me as well of Kick-Ass and that. It's basically like, Kingsman is basically like a James Bond film, but with the sort of over-the-top violence and comedy of, say, Deadpool, and that's what I like about this, because as someone who only really tolerates and stomachs sort of spy espionage stories in Doctor Who, and this, the core sort of, you know, James Bond sort of action films, I don't really like. I tend not to watch James Bond films because I very rarely ever know what the hell's happening, and then it's just loads of like explosions and that, and for no apparent reason other than the fact that, like, you know, it's just, it can be kind of confusing, or at least I find them confusing. The villain in this, played by Samuel Jackson, is just phenomenal. I think the brilliance is, and I know Terry Malloy, the guy who played Davros, once said this, that the best villains are the characters and who don't think they are villains, because they are the true sort of scariest people, because they'll do anything to get what they want, in a sense, and or like the basically, like, if you put a key in a lock but just twisted it a bit too much, like that's what the bad people are like, really. And to that effect, I do think that's how, like, Samuel Jackson portrays this sort of villain guy. He just truly believes in what he's doing and his motives, and the narrative journey he goes on as a character is pretty clear and well thought out and executed well, and he performs it really well, obviously. You've also even got the guy who is Alfred's butler in the Batman Dark Knight trilogy in this film, and that, but he's a bit of an arsehole character, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, as I say, there's quite a bit of humour and comedy and that, and I like the end of the film with the princess sort of thing. That was funny. And that Eggsy even being in like this suit, and that was pretty cool as well, I guess. There's a lot of plot twists and turns in that I did not see coming at all in my original viewing. Obviously on a second viewing I knew what to expect. And I think it's very cinematic as well. I think there were only a few instances where there was some CGI towards the latter end of the film where I was like, this is a bit ropey. But I mean, then again, I like Doctor Who, so I can't really criticise a film or a TV show for bad special effects, but too much anyway. But yeah, what else? Yeah, I mean, the music is always really good as well, and suits what's happening on screen and that. And as I said, the very cinematic, very sort of big blockbustery scope sort of thing, and that, like, you feel like they get around the world as well, and that there has been a lot of money put into this film and that, and stuff. I like the sort of training sequence sort of stuff. I think the training stuff kind of goes on a little bit too much, in so much as I feel like a lot of the film is very much the sort of training sequence, as it were, and it just kind of gets a little bit repetitive. It's funny also seeing the Sun newspapers clippings on one of the characters in one of the characters' rooms, and just reading them in the background. I thought that was I was finding humour in doing that myself. And then the outlandish gizmos and gadgets, and how it in some ways breaks the fourth wall by even referencing sort of the James Bond sort of spy espionage sort of films, and how they were very sort of ridiculous really when you think about it. If you just pour a little bit of logic into them, that they are very goofy and very over the top and that. And I like the fact that the film is self-aware enough to know that what it's based off is kind of ridiculous, and so they almost take that element and run with it, as I say, and that, which is really cool. As I say, there are some plot twists and turns that I didn't expect on first viewing, so I don't really want to say what they are, in case it ruins your experience in that. Mark Hamill is really good as this sort of English professor sort of character in that, early on in the film and stuff, and that. What else? Can't really think of what else to say really. It's just a fun, very fast-paced, very sort of slick, stylish, fast-paced, action-packed, funny film really. And I think if that sort of sounds enjoyable to you, then I think I think Kingsman, the Secret Service, is the film for you. So yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.